Good evening and welcome, everyone. My name is Jessica Walton, and I would like to ask you all to please stand for the singing of our Black National Anthem. With an abundance of concern, as a safety precaution, I will be the only one singing for us tonight. Thank you all so much. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Oh, sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Thank you.
Amazing. What a tremendous musical welcome. Thank you, Jessica Walton. Extraordinary. We're so grateful for that. And want to acknowledge with appreciation the Chicago Jazz Institute who played us in. Thank you all for sharing your amazing talents. Good evening, everyone. My name is James Rondo. I have the distinct privilege and honor of being the president and Eloise W. Martin director of our great museum. We're thrilled and honored to welcome all of you to our museum tonight as we honor Richard Hunt with the 2022 Legends and Legacy Award. I'd like to pause for a moment and acknowledge my colleague Ann Goldstein, Deputy Director, Chair, and Dittmer Curator of Modern and Contemporary Art. Ann joins all of us in celebrating and honoring Richard tonight. Unfortunately, Ann cannot be with us tonight due to unforeseen circumstances. She certainly joins us in spirit, most especially as a passionate advocate for Richard's great artistry. Richard Hunt. It's always difficult to speak about a great artist in the presence of the great artist, but I will try. Richard, we all know, is a preeminent and endlessly innovative artist. He has taken deliberate care in locating with great precision his monumental sculptures across Chicago, the nation, and the world for nearly 7 decades. Whether anchoring a campus or enhancing the experience of sight in collaboration with architecture, Richard's sculptures soar, drawing each and every viewer in and around their considered forms, always at once elastic and solid, taking flight and firmly grounded. Here at our museum, we are proud to have collected Richard's work across sculpture, prints, and drawings every decade since the beginning of his career in the 1950s. Hero Construction, which greets all visitors as they enter at Michigan Avenue and draws all of us up the Women's Board Grand Staircase, was acquired by the museum the very same year it was created, 1958. And less than a year after he graduated from our great School of the Art Institute of Chicago. Tonight's event is made possible thanks to our many generous sponsors. I'd like to specifically mention the generosity of our premier sponsor, BMO Harris Bank, and our trustee, Daryl Hackett, as well as our leading sponsors and chair of our board of trustees, Denise Gardner, and her husband, Gary Gardner. We also thank all of our museum's trustees, past and present, many of whom are with us tonight, for their prescience in collecting Richard's iconic work, allowing our museum to present, preserve, and to be a part of stewardship of this extraordinary and very much ongoing career. The Legends and Legacy Award is presented by our Leadership Advisory Committee, an advisory body located in the President's office that provides counsel, fresh perspective, and support to the entire museum on all matters related to the engagement and advancement of the African American community. I would like to especially thank Leadership Advisory Committee Chair Amina Dickerson for her friendship, her support, her trusteeship, and her astute leadership and counsel. I am also so pleased to welcome the esteemed artist, our great friend and close colleague, Amanda Williams. Amanda Williams has gone the extra miles literally, changing her own exhibition calendar in order to join in conversation with Richard tonight. When we asked Amanda to be a part of this evening, she recognized the conflict but said, "I'll move heaven and earth to be here and to honor Richard." So, Amanda, we're honored by you. You'll hear tonight, you already know, Richard has left an indelible mark on the practice of sculpture itself, influencing artists today and for generations to come. Finally, I want to thank all of you for being with us tonight to celebrate, and I'd like to now welcome tonight's co-chairs, Cavan Cook and Lafayette Ford. I will turn it over to them now. Thank you to them, thank you to all.
Thank you, James. It is an honor and privilege to be here tonight as we celebrate this extraordinary artist, Richard Hunt, and his lifetime of accomplishments. First, Lafayette and I would like to express our deepest gratitude to the entire Leadership Advisory Committee, as well as the Legends and Legacy Host Committee, all of whose names you can find in the program this evening. We couldn't have done it without all of you. We also want to extend a very special thank you to Amina Dickerson for her leadership and unwavering support as chair, and Stephen Hunter as co-chair of the Leadership Advisory Committee. Their support was critical to all that has been accomplished tonight.
We would also like to thank you to our contributing sponsors, Peggy Montez, Madeline Murphy Rabb, and George E. Johnson. Thank you to our event partner sponsors, Elizabeth Ann Collins and Michelle Collins, the Lloyd A. Fry Foundation, Billy Hodges from the Billy Hodges Gallery, Dana, Alexa, and Andre Rice, and Sandra Rain.
And thank you to our event support sponsors, Cheryl and Todd Brown, Les Coney, Amina Dickerson, Tessa Flippin, Graham Grady, Cheryl and Eric McKissick, Mecklenburg Parks and Recreation, Dr. Sally Metzler, Chevy Humphrey and the Museum of Science and Industry, Isabel Neal, B.E. Noel, Private Events, Linda Johnson Rice, Reverend Dr. Richard Tolliver, Devaney and Alex Washington, Valerie and Steve Waller, Allison and Daryl Williams, and Rhonda and Brian Wilburn.
And a special thank you to tonight's liquor sponsor, Tito's Handmade Vodka. And in-kind support for tonight's events was graciously provided by Comey Jewelry, David DeMont, High Park Art Center, Wendy Crimmins and Neiman Marcus, Whitney Lasky, Morris Gearing, and Marwin.
And finally, thank you to Fuzi Catering, the Jazz Institute of Chicago, the Corey Wilkes Trio, Timeless Gifts, and Merit School of Music.
What an incredible list of friends, supporters, museum trustees, and members of the Leadership Advisory Committee. Thank you again. We hope you all enjoyed the program.
Richard Hunt is one of the most admired sculptors of his generation, and most certainly a Chicago legend. In the center of this defining piece of our architecture is Richard's Hero construction from 1958. One of the remarkable things about Richard is that he understands our museum as a classroom. He began taking art classes here when he was just 13 years old. Richard made this sculpture just 1 year after he graduated. We are proud to point out that it was purchased that same year. This hero is a hero of the everyday, a hero made from the everyday.
I worked on this piece for a period of about 3 or 4 weeks, really. I made like a small kind of model for it at one point.
Richard Hunt is one of the most important artists of our time, an artist who's been living and working here in Chicago and whose work has reverberated far and wide. He was the first African-American sculptor to have an exhibition at the Museum of Modern Art in 1971, which also was presented here at the Art Institute. He's an artist who has made a mark in public space in an incomparable way with hundreds of works that are located in different places in this country.
We are so proud that this Legends and Legacy Award is the latest manifestation of our museum's engagement with Richard and with his work.
I hope that younger artists also learn from Richard and from the incredible work ethic that he has, his devotion to his work. We're so honored that Richard is allowing us to give him this award.
Richard, the Art Institute of Chicago is honored to present you with this award and to celebrate you this evening and each and every day. Congratulations, and thank you for all that you have given us.
Sit down now.
Yep.
Okay, so we ready? So despite the auditorium being sold out, this is really an intimate gathering of friends. There was so much love bestowed upon you backstage and just now, so it feels like I have the best seat in the house to be able to sit and have this conversation. And so there's not really anything that we can say that hasn't already been said about Richard, but we thought this would be a great opportunity for just two artists to have a conversation about being artists. And I think that after seeing the video and kind of so many feelings and emotions being conjured, beautiful singing and kind of all that comes with this tribute, that I just really want to invoke joy, that I want to start with joy, because I think that is what we need, but I think that's what your work has always given us, and I think that's a gift to fellow artists that you produce. And so I want to tell everybody, and probably nobody would be surprised, that Richard has come from the studio. So he was working today. So I don't know how many of you went to work and really wanted to be there, but artists, this is what we do, no matter what. And so I just want you to talk just a little bit about what it means to have that joy every day, all the time, that connection with materiality, and to be able to just, to be so free to think and express through that kind of process.
Well, there's always another sculpture to make. Well, I mean, you get more done if you work every day, and it's become a thing that is just my routine. I mean, get up in the morning, go to the studio, actually in recent months, I've gone to a 7-day week. I mean, we used to be Monday through Friday, but on the other hand, we don't work from 9 to 5 on Saturday and Sunday, from 10 to 5.
And I came to visit the studio a few weeks ago, and we had a great conversation, and your longtime studio manager and colleague, Eric, and I were talking about, it's hard if you're not a creative being to understand what it's like to make, not just for the end result, but this sort of practice of the material, the feeling of it, right? And so everyone has a favorite dish that they would eat every day if they could, or everyone has a poem or a word or phrases that they might work through, right? And I think that that's a testament to you that really this material in particular, the love of bronze, even part of one of the titles, that it gives you something every day. And so I would like you to talk a little bit about, we know the kind of history of that as a material, but bronze versus aluminum versus steel versus painting, like talk a little bit about that material, if there's something that really has you coming back to it despite having worked with other materials.
Well, when I started to work with sculpture, it was more modeling and carving, and to go back to the period of time when I was a student here, in the 1950s. The use of direct metal to build sculptures was coming into its own. And as a matter of fact, while I was a student here, there was an exhibition that came to the museum. It had opened at the Museum of Modern Art in New York, Sculpture of the 20th Century. And I saw the first welded sculptures. And most importantly, Julio Gonzalez but there was a group of what was called the New British Sculptors at the time, and it opened my eyes to possibilities other than modeling and clay, plaster, or something, and carving, and so I thought, well, I'd try that. As a matter of fact, I took a metal craft class here along with the sculpture classes, and it was just a matter. Well, it was a matter of seeing the possibilities in direct welded, fabricated metal that set me in the direction that I've been in for all these years. Yeah.
So when I'm in the studio, I'll often work on more than one piece at a time, and it's often because my energy changes. So if I'm antsy, then this one gets the antsy, and if I'm mellow, this one gets the mellow. Yeah. When I came to visit, you had, I think, 7 pieces going.
But
7, well, you have 7 pieces going, maybe, right?
Yeah.
And so, what's the dance or the conversation that's going on as you move between these pieces? You know, it's mastery. We know that to begin with. But I was there and I watched Richard take a piece, right? And remember, you kind of put it on, you adjusted it, made some cuts, then you put it on again, you adjusted, made some cuts. And then it was perfect. You know, it was maybe a 10 or 15 minute process, right? But then it was perfect. And so then maybe just share a little bit of like what that process is to move between these things, and that kind of ultimate idea of freedom in that way of a lack of fear about kind of, as you know, how do you know which ones need which, and moving through what's that dance?
Well, I would say that one of the things about the direct metal method, well, you know, cutting, you know, having large sheets of metal, cutting shapes out of them, and making 3-dimensional sculptures. Okay, so the idea is that there's inherent in the metal that you can form it a certain way, reform it, add it onto something, take it back. It's that flexibility that, you know, going back to what I talked about, you know, modeling or carving or something like that. I mean, if you can't recarve a piece of wood or stone that you've chopped something off of, right. But you can take the sheets of metal, put them together, take them apart, change them a little bit, so that you, like I say, will have this versatility to just move a piece a little more in this direction or that direction.
Mm-hmm. I think that artists in my generation and just young people in general, we sort of we take for granted the ability to have the courage to be free. And so for me, you're one of the few artists for whom I was able to appreciate the work before I knew the artist was Black. And so it's not a bad thing to have known that Jacob Lawrence is Black before I understood. But it just signaled such a, in addition to the whimsy of the shapes, it was just such a point of pride, right? To kind of know. I shared with you one of the first pieces I can remember is the piece that sits at 43rd and Cottage Grove. And so, as a student of architecture and building and all these sorts of things, there was a connection I had to the material and the shapes and the. But I think that for me the additional gift was that I have the right to be free, and I have the right to make my art in whatever form, and there's nothing against representation in figurative work, but I think it's just such a testament that the work that you've continued to make really, really holds its own, even when it has as its subject matter some of our greatest heroes that you've been able to honor through commissions. I think it's just so powerful that we have that kind of gift from you. And so I'm wondering if you can talk to the audience a little bit about with work that does have such a freedom of expression, or might be seen, especially in the time that you were making this work, is so abstract. Talk about what it means when you have a commission that is a representation of a figure or of a movement or a legacy. So I'm thinking in particular of Ida B. Wells, the recent announcement of your commission for the Obama Presidential Center, or even back to the work that you did for Southern University back in the 60s, right? That there's always been this legacy of still connecting to Blackness despite not having to represent specifically those figures. So any one of those, it would be great if you could share some thoughts, or if there's something you want to talk about in relationship to that sort of commissioned work.
Well, one of the things about commissioned work, you know, the idea of an artist being there and being commissioned to do work of varied kinds. I mean, just like and for me, the idea of doing commissioned work within the context, say, of a corporation. You know, somebody's building a new office building. Okay, that's one thing. But on the other hand, sculptures that speak to the interests of people within within some sort of organization, within that are religious, that are that honor some particular person. So I mean, it gets. I mean, there's a different angle of attack, you might say, or an approach that places something in its own particular context. So it's not like you do the same. You have the same approach to everything you do. There are the times when you just make something that's so big and you could put it on a stand and exhibit it. Then there are these things where you are involved in a big space, or in a park, or on the side of a building or something. So the difference is, allow for this wide spectrum of sculptural possibilities that you turn to at one point and turn in a different direction at another time.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel like it's evolved over the years, or do you feel you've always had that confidence to kind of, because that's really a trust of your craft, right? To sort of, to know which direction, right? To, what is Ida B. Wells versus Barack Obama, right? Like to really, like, because it's not the shape, so it's really about a kind of, not even intuition, it's about an understanding of that process for you, about what these things become.
Well, and one of the things about pieces that are commemorative is not only the material, but a certain amount of well, it could be study or just what you know about something because you've lived through it. But I mean, so on the one hand, you know, I if I'm doing a sculpture about, you know, you know, champions or explores, you know, the life and work of somebody. There's that, well, there's a way of, well, there's an interest in information gathering that then can suggest a formal way, that is a form in sculpture, of representing the background, history, life of an individual. You know, which is, like I say, a different approach, you know, to something that, you know, brightens up a wall of a building or something like that. And so, and of course, to me, it's important then that I've come to learn something about, you know, an individual and their life and what it means to try to have sculpture that celebrates that. Yeah.
So you know that my background is architecture, and so one of the other things that I love is that there seems to be such an understanding of sight when you produce these works. And so I'm wondering if maybe you can just share, my assumption is that you spend a lot of time at the site, but maybe that's not necessarily the case. When you're thinking about the approach or how someone will experience it, or inside of an office building lobby versus in a outdoor space in the round, or there's an axis, maybe talk about how much the architecture or the built environment influences maybe some of those early decisions.
Well, yeah, it is when there's this opportunity of developing with an architect, engineer, with you know, with people who are responsible for creating the space within which the sculpture is placed, then yeah, I mean, that's another thing. I mean, you know, like I just had mentioned, you know, reading up on life and times of maybe people I'm going to commemorate, but then the collaboration that can develop between the landscape architect or the builder or whatever. Yeah, so the idea of you know, having these different ways to begin, meditate on something or whatever, draw together, you know, ideas that get turned into sculpture. It's a way, you know, it's a response to the, you know, to the other, to other aspects of the space, place, or whatever it is, so that you bring out something that's meaningful to see, hear about, or something that in this thing that'll exist as a sculpture.
We also talked a little bit about the idea of drawing or sketching, and I was saying that was something that I felt I had gotten away from in recent years. I used to do a lot more, and you were saying that more and more you going direct, right? And there's sometimes a sketch, but there's direct. Is there anything you feel like you still want to revisit, or you want to, you want to go back to think about or explore? Do you feel like you really have reached this kind of, this kind of zen where literally every gesture and moment is exactly what you want to be doing?
Say that again.
I wanted to, if is there like I want to go back to sketching, even though I know how to sketch. Are there things you think you want to go back to or revisit, or do you feel like no, you do that every day? You do that already.
Yeah, well, no, they're both things involved. I mean, do things if everything comes together just right, then you smile and go on to the next thing. But yeah, and so sometimes though, the idea of having to return to something and redevelop it, is something that's meaningful. That helps take the work to another level. Mm-hmm. That's something that happens on one end of the spectrum, and the times when things just fall in place are different.
Mm-hmm. So I think we have time for one more question before we're going to have to start to continue with the tributes. But I'm wondering, it's one of these cliched questions, but I think it's just incredibly important to ask. You've been such a teacher in a literal way and a kind of generous way. What would you say to sculptors that are starting now?
What would I say to sculptors that are starting out? Well, I think that sculpture is a way of exploring ideas you have, the relationship of sculpture to spaces, and the collaborative aspect, of working. As a sculptor, working with like I say, landscape engineers, architects. I mean, to me, the idea of there's this approach that leaves you in your studio by yourself, making what you want to make. Mm-hmm. And then there are these opportunities to collaborate with others to make something that you and the landscape architect or the architect want to see happen. And of course, that's a very nice thing when the different disciplines can come together, crisscross, and make something special. Yeah.
So I think we're going to continue on with the tributes. I think we have, is this correct? There's a special guest with a tribute, I think.
Where did he go?
He's shy, he's going to come out.
Hello. Good evening, everybody, and good evening, Mr. Hunt. I understand that you are a fan of classical music, so this is a tribute to you.
That was wonderful. We carry on, and it's so lovely to see everyone here. And indeed, that is one of the senses, this togetherness, to be together in this room. I realized during this time, it is only for important things and important people that we are coming together. And indeed, tonight is one of those nights. So thank you for coming out of your bubble and venturing out with us and to celebrate Richard Hunt. Good evening, everyone. I'm Leah Hope. I'm a journalist with ABC7 here in Chicago and a longstanding supporter of the Leadership Advisory Committee, and so thrilled to be with you, stepping out of my bubble for only a handful of times in the last couple of years. And you know, for this portion of the evening, there were so many people who wanted to pay tribute to Richard who couldn't be here that we wanted to include some of their thoughts. Ann Goldstein, who was mentioned, the Deputy Director and Chair, the Dittmer Curator of Modern and Contemporary Art, was unable to be here, and she wrote a lovely, lovely letter, but just a portion I'm going to read of this. It says, "It is extremely meaningful and important that it is your work that is the first work of art that everyone entering the museum will see, honoring your decades of history with this institution." And we should mention that at this time that guests at the reception will receive a beautifully rendered poster of Hero Construction after the reception this evening. So be sure to stick around for that. From Martin Puryear, Richard is the real deal. A true independent spirit, deeply rooted in his home turf, yet like a kind of Vulcan at his forge, sending forth metal incarnations of human striving and transcendence, sending them like the mighty abstract sparks far and wide. Daoud Bey. I first saw a story about Richard in one of those picture magazines when I was a younger teenager. It was the first time I'd ever seen a Black artist featured in any of those publications, and I never forgot it. He's been someone who I've looked up to ever since. Bernard Williams. And please keep in mind, these are just love letters, and I'm reading a portion of them, but this line stuck out. "He is simply a superhero among American artists. Sculptor activist. There, I just spontaneously invented a new word trying to explain this man's meaning to me. Mic drop." He wrote that, mic drop. Preston Jackson. He was an inspiration to me. He was a mentor, and in my eyes, he was a warrior who smashed the barriers that kept artists of color from moving toward their goals. He is a very special talent who has affected my work tremendously. Candida Alvarez. Your recent exhibition at the Art Institute was a total knockout. Light bouncing everywhere against the silver medal. It was alive as a sparkle in your eyes. I have such profound respect for you and your insistence on working with such dedication and perseverance. Fahim Majid. This man was the pinnacle for metal sculpture, and here he was, walking through his studio, and yes, of course, very willing to put me to work. For me to be able to work in Richard's studio and see the master work with such a special moment that helped set a foundation for my life and success in Chicago. Juarez Hawkins. Thank you, Richard, for helping me cultivate a new generation of artists and art lovers. Thank you for helping me instill pride in my charges. Thank you for your gracious hospitality and for being so generous with your time. And most of all, thank you for being such a consummate badass, a model of creativity and success. Theaster Gates, the sheer hard work and intelligence of his artistic practice will resonate as one of the archetypal legacies of American sculpture. Richard, thank you so much for your life's work and your fatherhood toward me. Mary Lovelace O'Neill, what a rare, sweet yet fierce man, lifted as he climbed, a gift to generations, a dear soul. Richard Hunt, congratulations and great love from we, the Legions. Carrie James Marshall, Richard Hunt is a kind of superhero of sculpture, one of the hardest working artists of all time, clearly a master metal worker and still crushing it in his 80s. Congratulations, Richard, for a lifetime of work well done. Some of the artists are here with us. I hope I did justice to your words. Please stand and be acknowledged. Thank you so much for your contributions and your words. Thank you. We want to acknowledge Richard's longstanding association of the School of the Art Institute, and we also want to acknowledge and appreciate the lovely music provided by Jessica Walton, who led us in the Black National Anthem, and Nazeen Shahid. It still resonates in this room, doesn't it? Don't you just feel that? Beautiful. We also want to let you know that we commissioned young artists from the Hyde Park Art Center and Marwin. So I'd like to acknowledge any of the students or young artists in the room to be recognized. Are any of the young artists with us this evening? Thank you very much for your work. I think some of them are up there. Right, we know that Richard first took lessons at the age of 13. I have a nephew in the audience who's 11. So this starts early, everyone, and let's just keep this legacy rolling. Right now, I'd like to introduce a very special message from our mayor, Mayor Lori Lightfoot.
Hello, Mr. Hunt. I'm Mayor Lori Lightfoot, and I am here to congratulate you on receiving this prestigious award. Though you are a national and truly an international treasure, you are first and foremost a Chicago treasure. You're born right here in Woodlawn and raised in Englewood, a graduate of the School of the Art Institute with numerous works in the Art Institute's collection. And you have a Lincoln Park studio that is repurposed former Chicago Railway System's electrical substation. In other words, you embody this city's rich, artistic, and boundless creativity. Your publicly commissioned works span the city from the far south side to the far northern suburbs and beyond. You are an inspiration to rising and established artists, and your influence and mentorship are evidenced through tonight's tributes. It's an honor to celebrate with you this evening and beyond. I'm proud to proclaim June 10th as Richard Hunt Day for the City of Chicago, and this proclamation will ensure your contributions are forever remembered as a core part of our city's artistic landscape. So, Mr. Hunt, with great respect and admiration, thank you for all you've done for our great city, and congratulations once again.
Happy Richard Hunt Day, everyone. Now, please welcome Denise Gardner, Chairman of the Board of Directors for the Art Institute of Chicago.
Thank you, everyone, and greetings. Mr. Hunt, as the chair of the Board of Trustees of the Art Institute of Chicago, I am pleased and proud to stand before you today, along with everyone here and the president of the museum, to present to you the 2022 Legends and Legacy Award. This award carries a lot of meaning for us. It symbolizes what you mean to this museum, what you mean to our school, of which you are a distinguished graduate. It symbolizes what you mean to the city of Chicago and what you mean to the world. This award also commemorates and punctuates the lofty and unique place that you have earned in the canon of American art history. Just as important, it represents the place that you have earned in our hearts and in the hearts of this nation. We are fortunate that we not only get to celebrate your legacy with this award today, but we are also able to celebrate your legacy here at the museum every day. For, as you've heard earlier, we, along with our millions of visitors, can be reminded of your legacy every day at the entrance to this museum, where your powerful sculpture, Hero Construction, stands to greet us on the grand staircase. With this award, you join the company of 4 other prestigious, highly accomplished artists: Elizabeth Catlett, Margaret Burroughs, Ed Clark, and Elder Couture, all of whom had roots here at the Art Institute. But Mr. Hunt, you are particularly a special awardee. Why? Because you are the youngest recipient of this award. So without further ado, on behalf of the entire Art Institute of Chicago, its Board of Trustees, and the Leadership Advisory Committee, and we're going to bring this to you, we present to you the 2022 Legends and Legacy Award.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Can I put it down?
Yeah. Again, thank you. Great. Great. All right.
Do you have anything you'd like to say at this point?
Well, this lovely lady asked me if I had anything I'd like to say, but I'm speechless. I appreciate this honor, everyone coming to see and hear things about my life and career. And I just appreciate all of this and what it means to me. And I want to just keep making more sculpture. And,
This is wonderful, and as Denise was talking about the past recipients, it's just such a privilege to be here, sir. And I know I'm looking out at the audience, and I don't know if you noticed, but while we've been here, there have been more folks who have come here So there's a lot of love in this room for you. I want to just thank a few folks who helped make this evening possible, and then we'll get on to the reception. Morris Gearing, the folks at Neiman for the beautiful window tribute they installed. That's at the corner of Michigan and Superior. If you haven't seen it, you might want to check it out. Also to David Demond and Gail King and Commissioner Aaron Harkey, the Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events. Also, the Gagosian Gallery for shifting the opening of Amanda Williams' show so that she could be here this evening. And a few final notes talking about all the love that is in this room, and I hope that you do feel that. But please do remember, we are still in a pandemic. So as you are showing your love for this dear man, please, please social distance, maybe even wear a mask. And we are going to try and reduce some of those exchanges. And more importantly, you can write him a message, because I'm sure this is a lot. He can review those messages later. We have two guest books at the north end of Griffin Court, so you're invited to write a message to him that he can read later. So please consider that. Show him how much you love him by not speaking to him. So, only in a pandemic. These are strange times, aren't they? And we do want to thank the Art Institute staff. Thank you so much. Nothing happens without all of them. Stephanie Henderson, Alonzo Tapia in particular, with the Special Events Department. Truly a labor of love. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Hunt will remain on stage for a few photos, but that concludes this evening. Have a beautiful evening, and we will see you at the reception. The staff is ready to direct you there. Please keep in mind how we want to keep him safe and keep him making art. Yes. Good evening, everyone. Thank you.
Right back.
No worries.